Hello, YouTube. In previous videos, you may have heard me mention that I used to live in Japan. I spent 6 months there with my ultimate goal of not being a douchebag who ruins the reputation of foreigners. This is my collection of stories from my stay in Japan. So the first thing that happened in Japan is, of course, background checks. That's right. In Japan, they are super strict about foreign policy. And I mean this. When I got there, they wanted me to have my own entire itinerary of where I was going, where I was staying, what I was doing, and I was just sitting there like, I don't know, man. I just want food. But there's ultimately 3 places that I did stay: Sumida, Osaka, and Machida. Sumida is where I first stayed, and I learned the ropes. I learned how to get on trains, and I learned that there's really not a lot of space in Tokyo. My very first apartment was the size of some walk-in closets, and that is not an overestimation. Literally, from an American point of view, it was extremely small. Although I wasn't really culture shocked, I did expect that. And it did feel really authentic to live in the city of Tokyo in a small space with a floor futon. Osaka was a lot more chill and a lot more spacious. I essentially rented out an entire Airbnb house for extremely cheap. Mind you, in America, my rent at the time was over $2,000 for a 2-bedroom condo. But just for myself, I rented out a 2-bedroom house in Osaka for $1,000. So literally half of what I was paying in America, I could get in Japan. The pricing was crazy good. And this was the case for food and living expenses at large. I could get an entire meal for like $5 to $10. That's unheard of in America. Even McDonald's has you charged at $15 for an entire meal. Oh man, I already miss Japan. The last place I stayed was Machida, which honestly was my favorite place. Not only was the city really cool, everybody was super fashionable and stylish, kind of younger to be honest, which was shocking. In this little town, my Airbnb host was amazing. You see, in the other 2 places that I stayed, none of the Airbnb hosts really met with you or helped you or wanted anything to do with you. But Yukio-san was way different. He was very personable. He ran a yakitori stall in the middle of the mall. The town itself was kind of this community neighborhood. Everybody knows each other. Everybody knows Yukio-san. And he kind of took you under his wing. Well, specifically, he took me under his wing. And he became basically my Japanese father. He's so kind and I adore him. The locals were all so friendly to me in Machida. They were very interested in me and my culture and what I had to say, and it was honestly just good vibes all around. I did also catch a festival while I was in Machida, which was very cool. They had traditional clothes. They were playing drums and dancing around. It was so cool. And they all did this, mind you, in the rain. They were like, I'm not letting rain stop my festival, you bitch. It was so cool. There were food stalls all out. It was kind of this like outdoor mall area. And everybody was just having a good time. And they even got me to dance. I will not be posting videos of that, by the way. One of my favorite stories, which is also from Machida, is I actually made some Japanese friends, and it was around my birthday. I decided to celebrate with them, and we all went to our favorite bar. And if you don't know anything about Japan, this may come as a shock to you. The Japanese love to drink, and so I had an entire handle of Suntory whiskey all to myself for my birthday. And I got blackout drunk. I was just vibing. And from what I can remember, I was just engrossed in conversation with everyone. And, you know, I would meet a cool new face and ask them a billion questions, and they would ask me a billion questions, and we were just goofing and gaffing, playing pool, shooting darts. It was great. And then I stumbled home drunk, and I somehow made it, by the way. I have no idea how I got to my front door. It was like I was teleported there. And I wake up the next morning and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to pay my bill. That was the one thing that I didn't want to do, was portray foreigners in a bad light, and here I am getting blackout drunk and I forgot to pay my bill. No. Oh my god. It's over. So I ran there. I ran back to the bar. I wave over the nearest waitress that I could find, which happens to be the same waitress that I had. And I was like, oh, thank God, she'll remember me because I'm white. And I go, Komenasai. And I get out my translator app and I start typing, and I forgot to pay my bill. I'm so sorry. I'm so dumb. I'll commit seppuku right here. I basically touched my head to the floor, apologizing so much. And mind you, all of the waitresses there are very attractive. And they're all laughing at me. Shame, humiliation. And after about 15 minutes of trying to sort this out, she turns to me and she goes, oh, that's what you're trying to say. Oh, okay. Yeah, you actually did pay your bill. Huh? What? I did? I just forgot that I paid it. Needless to say, I never went to that bar again. When I was in Osaka, I had treated myself to a little birthday present. I actually went to see a band from the United Kingdom in Japan, While She Sleeps, which is an awesome metalcore band if you've never heard of them. But the Spotify amphitheater in Tokyo was crazy awesome. The crowd was electric, the sets were cool, and everybody, and I mean everybody, was popping off. It was such a fun time. And there were quite a lot of foreigners there, but there were about half foreigners, half Japanese at this show. And the Japanese dudes were crazy in the pit. They loved moshing and just throwing around. And since I was so tall compared to everybody else, I was kind of the guy that would just lift people to crowd surf. I was getting my 50 squats in, you know what I mean? It was such a good time. And while I was there, I actually did make friends with a Ukrainian guy and a Russian guy, which is mind-blowing to me. All you see in the news is that these two places hate each other, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna go horribly. Because I introduced them to each other without knowing anything about them. But they both surprised me. We were all there for the same reason. We were all there to see a show, get drunk, have fun, enjoy Japan. And that's exactly what we did. It was very cool. They hugged it out even. And we went about the town. We went to all these different bars. I remember one of the bars was a church, quote unquote. Oh my God. New fetish unlocked. I've never been attracted to nuns so hard in my life. Anyways, we continued our night and drank, and there was just something about the night air in Tokyo and the vibes of that night where I really understood that what you hear on the internet, what you hear on headlines and the doom and gloom of every day doesn't have to be that way. When you live in the moment and you go and you meet these people in real life, you just come to understand each other. And it's a really eye-opening experience. And if nobody has ever had that experience with you before, I implore you to go outside and touch some fucking grass. Because my God, that night was amazing. Anyways, the night was coming to a close, and for those of you who don't know, Japan has something called the last train, which I don't know if it's 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. I was really drunk, so there's basically one last train to take you home, and it's quite a big deal, and a lot of people rush to make it. Or they just sleep in the street. That's totally fine too. Anyways, I got on the last train, and I actually missed my stop by like 3 stations. So I did what any drunk man would do, and I stumbled around for about an hour before realizing that there's a thing called a taxi stop, which, if you don't know, it's kind of like a bus stop, except a taxi comes around every so often to pick up drunk people and take them home. I was like, yay, my saving grace. And so I get in this line, right? And I'm observing, right? Because I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, okay, that guy got in the taxi. All right. That guy got in the next taxi. Okay. This woman in front of me is surely going to get in the next taxi. And so me being the gentleman, I allow her to get the next taxi, except she doesn't get in that taxi. And the taxi drives off. And I was like, okay, maybe that taxi went to a different place. And then the next taxi comes by. She doesn't get in that one either. And I'm like, maybe she wants a specific taxi. Third taxi comes around. She doesn't get in. And so I walk up to her and I go, gomenasai. Eigo daijoubu desu ka? Which is essentially, hey, can I speak to you in English? And I shit you not, she looks me dead in the eyes. And then she screams and runs away. Now listen, I understand. She's probably socially awkward, and a 6-foot-tall, tattooed white guy just walked up to her. I'd probably run too. Oh man. That was probably one of the highlights of me being in Japan. Speaking of women running away from me, I want to talk about dating in Japan. Now, I went on quite a few dates. To my surprise, Tinder is actually quite popular there. They use it for more than just dating, though. They also use it for business, making actual friendships, scamming people, and lastly, dating. And so I went on quite a few dates. Most notably, I went on a date to the Japan Games Expo, which was very cool. It was basically all these Japanese companies showing off their new titles that are about to be released. And if you know anything about video games, you'll know that Monster Hunter Wilds released then. And I got to see Monster Hunter Wilds before it was released, and they had the coolest setup. There was also like Dragon Ball Z and all of these horror indie games. I was in love with this event. It was very cool. But I was on a date. And I've been told all of my life to take things slow and respectful and be a gentleman and don't be aggressive, right? But I think the expectation of foreigners is to be kind of aggressive. And I don't mean aggressive as in like grab them and throw them around, but I mean make your move. Like be flirty, be extroverted, which I'm not good at. So it's not really advice that I followed. But I was raised to be conservative and whatever, so I don't usually go out of my comfort zone with that. And that ended up in them not wanting to follow up on plans anymore because it probably seemed like I wasn't interested in them. So Don't make the same mistakes I made and just be confident in yourself. Not to say I'm not confident, but you catch my drift. So yeah, that was more or less my dating experience in Japan. It was fun. I had a good time. Whether they had a good time or not, I can't really tell you. They're so shy and socially awkward. It's hard to get them to open up unless you go drinking, which I didn't do on dates, and I should had probably. In the West, it's kind of more taboo to like go drinking on your first date. It's quote unquote trashy where I'm from. So I don't know. But in Japan, it probably lets them loosen up a little bit, like get out of their shell and really express how they feel without that societal filter. So my recommendation is go drinks, go karaoke, make your move if you're intending to date in Japan. But that's just my experience. Don't hold me accountable if it goes wrong for you. I don't know how socially awkward you are, so maybe it's not the best idea. But yeah. Anyways, that's more or less my experience living 6 months in Japan. I did just work a lot, so I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do. And I avoided anything touristy. But if you've visited Japan recently, let me know in the comments. I would love to know if you did do touristy things or if you kind of did weird stuff like me and just lived your life in Tokyo. Bye!